Hey, welcome back to the Too Fast channel. In today's tabletop review and unboxing, we're going to be taking a look at the Feyachi S27 fiber optic iron flip-up sights. This is a front and rear matched set that have green and red fiber optic inserts. I bought these off of Amazon for $30.99. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. Also, Feyachi will be having a Amazon Black Friday sale from November 21st to 28th. That's fastly approaching. They will be having up to 20% off selected items. So if there's something you've been waiting on buying from Feyachi, check out their Black Friday sale on Amazon during that time. You might be able to score yourself some savings. All right, so let's see. These iron sights, they come in a matched pair. We've got fiber optic inserts on the rear, which are green, and fiber optic insert on the front, which is red. The front has a standard A2 front sight post, so you can use standard A2 front sight post tools to make adjustments. The rear sight has a dual aperture setup for CQB and long range target acquisition. These are made out of lightweight aluminum, probably a 6000 series aluminum, mil-spec hard coat anodized, flat black. So you've got elevation adjustment on the front sight, and you've got windage adjustments with a click knob on the rear. And it also comes with a Allen wrench for mounting onto picatinny rails. So those are most of the talking points. This is the nice little plastic box that it comes in. Nice presentation for the sights, and it comes with a Allen key, and that's all that's in the little box. So let's take a look at the rear sight first. The Feyachi logo is on both sights, silk screened on. We've got a single large Allen bolt for adjustment. Thick, solid, all aluminum construction. I don't feel any plastic at all on these. Even the push rod is aluminum. These don't require you to push the button to flip them up. You flip them up and they lock into place. Now, my personal preference is for sights that flip up and lock into place. To put them back down, you need to press the button and manually put them back down. I have owned some iron sights that do not lock into place when they're up. I don't know why those are actually on the market, but I do not like them. I've done some training, sort of like 3-gun type of training where we're shooting prone and we're shooting behind cover, and I've hit my sights on something and they've either partially gone down or gone all the way down. So I can't use sights like that. Any sight I use has to lock into place. So these fit the bill in that aspect. You can see the dual aperture right there. The long range aperture does not have fiber optic on it. The CQB aperture does. And then our windage button here, we get solid clicks left and right, so no tools for that adjustment. I like this. I like everything about this particular rear sight so far. I also believe, depending upon where you mount it on your rail, you should be able to have the CQB aperture in place when you flip it down. I've also used some sights that have dual apertures, and for instance, in this configuration on some other sites, it's too big. So when you flip it down, it doesn't go all the way down. It's up like that. So I think this will go all the way down. We'll have to see when we mount it on this upper behind us. But so far, so good. Would be nice if there was fiber optic for the precision, but I've never actually had uh, any type of tritium or fiber optic in my iron sights before, so I don't know if I really even need that personally. All right, so our front sight is basically constructed the same way. All aluminum construction, lightweight, solid aluminum push pin, um, flips up, locks into place. We've got large ears right here to protect your front sight post, and we've got our single red fiber optic insert. These sights do not come with extra fiber optic pieces, and I don't believe these are designed to be user interchangeable. We have our standard A2 front sight, which uses a standard, you can use a standard A2 sight tool or a bullet tip to make those adjustments. I actually have an A2 front sight tool. This is not a Feyachi product. This is a Real Avid sight tool. This is for A1 and A2 sights. Making the adjustments using the tool is nice and easy. I'm not going to actually do this because I can't see, keeping this on the frame, I can't really see what I'm doing. But the A2 has four pins on it. The A1 has 5. We use the one with the 4 pins. We get the 4 pins lined up, which I can't see what I'm doing. Push down and you twist to the left or twist to the right to make your adjustments and make sure that the little spring pin right there is locked into one of the notches when you're done so the sight stays in place. I do highly recommend, if you do not have a A2 sight tool, to go ahead and pick one up and keep it in your range bag. It's a lot easier than trying to use a bullet to make these types of adjustments on your front sight. And again, the sight tool does not come with these sights. All right, so far I like what I see, especially at this price point. In the background, we have a 7.5-inch upper off of one of my SBRs. This is not something I use in videos too often, but this is a upper that actually doesn't have irons on it, so I need irons for this particular upper receiver. And I have just the upper receiver because it's a lot easier to manipulate on my display table than an entire rifle. So I can have this almost completely fits in the frame because it's so small. Just so I don't get a lot of questions about this. This is a 7.5-inch PSA upper. I have a Troy Industries handguard on it. These are the squid grip inserts on this handguard. On the front is a linear compensator that pushes everything downrange. A 7.5-inch upper is not the most pleasant thing to shoot. It's just too short for 5.56 ammunition. It shoots better with 2.23, but I have a much better time shooting out of a 10.5-inch upper than the 7.5. So a muzzle brake on a 7.5 shoots out way too much unburnt powder out of the sides. You've got to have a linear comp on it and throw everything down range, and it's a fireball going down range. Shoot one of these in the range and you get everybody's attention. So this is an old school Picatinny handguard right here. So I've got a full integrated Picatinny rail on the top. I've got one on the side and one on the bottom. Those are kind of a pain to install because it's old school. You've got these little deals on the inside and you have to fumble with those to get them installed. I'm mentioning that because I'm going to mount the front sight right about there. I'm going to mount it a little bit back because I'm going to be putting a flashlight on here. So I'm going to mount this somewhere right in that general area. The rear, let's see what we can do with the rear. I normally will put the rear all the way to the back because I have a red dot that sits up here. In this particular situation, I can probably put this, doesn't necessarily need to be all the way in the back. Let's see. Trying to see if this will. Yeah, it's looking like the CQB aperture. Yeah, I was afraid of that. The sight doesn't go all the way down with the CQB aperture in place. That's not really a deal breaker. A lot of sites are like that. It would have been nice if I could sit this completely flush with the CQB aperture in place, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Let me try. Yeah. Now let's mount it right about there. That's just kind of a pet peeve. I'd like the sight to lay flat with the CQB aperture prioritized, but it's not a big deal. So there's the rear. I've just got it hand tightened right now. So if we flip it to the precision sight or precision aperture, it will lay completely flat. So you can see lays completely flat. The CQB aperture doesn't. I rarely use the long range aperture. You know, it'd be nice if these were reversed. So the CQB aperture would be here. That way, it would lay completely flat, and the nub would be sticking up here. I don't know why all of these seem to be designed this way, but it would be nice if it was reversed. That would be my preference, because I just don't use the precision aperture. It's just something I don't use, especially on these types of SBRs. You're not going to be doing any type of long range shooting with these things. So let's go for the front. Like I said, I'm going to be putting a flashlight up on the front. I've got a rail on the side for a pressure switch, rail on the bottom for handguard. So my flashlight's got to go on the front right there. And there we go. So installation is definitely pretty straightforward on these. Flip up solid lock. And there's kind of a sight picture. If the camera decides it wants to focus on that. Camera has a mind of its own sometimes. I'll focus on this, but I won't focus on that because that's what I feel like doing. All right, so that is the Feyachi S27 iron sights, the fiber optic inserts. Great buy for the money, in my opinion. I don't have anything else to comment. The only thing I could say is ideally, this rear aperture thing just kind of bugs me. I'd like those to be reversed. So the default is the CQB aperture. So when I lay this down, it sits completely flush and not partially flush. Again, it's not a deal breaker because it's not, with the red dot here, it's not impeding my use of the charging handle. Excuse me, out of frame. It's not impeding my use of the charging handle. It's not in the way in any way, shape, or form. It's just not sitting flush. So, being that I'm picky like that, I'd like it to lay completely flush. So that's my only nitpick, but that isn't something that's unique to this site by Feyachi. Other sites on the market, I've used 4 or 5 different brands. They all seem to be like that for some reason. They seem to give priority to the precision aperture versus the CQB aperture. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I'll put the link for this on Amazon down in the description. And remember, November 21st through the 28th, Amazon Black Friday sale, up to 20% off Feyachi products. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.